Hello friends, welcome back to snippetcoder and we are back with a video. In this video, we will learn how to generate the QR code in our Flutter application by using our NodeJS APIs. So this is our application. You can see here we have two fields. First one is a display data and the second one is the QR data URL. So basically what it will do, like in the display data is like whatever the data we want to show in our QR code image file, and that QR data URL is like whatever the data we want to pass in our QR code when anyone scan that QR code. So like here we will put snippetcoder, and in the URL we will put here https://youtube.com/snippetcoder, and here we will just click on the generate QR code. Now you can see here the QR code is generated here and it is having that QR code, and in the bottom we have this display data, whatever the data we pass here, and when we scan this QR code it will land us to our YouTube channel. So before starting the video, if you are new to our channel, subscribe the channel by clicking on the subscribe button and click the bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you. In our application REST API, we are going to use two packages. First one is our QR code package, and this will be help us to create the QR code. And the second package which we are going to use is Canvas, and this will also help us to generate the QR code image and all. So now let's move to our code part, and first of all we will create our REST API for generating the QR code, and that we will consume in our Flutter application. So here we have two folders. First one is our API folder and the second one is our app folder. Inside the API folder we will initialize our REST API, and for that we will have to put here npm initialize. It will ask us our package name and we will use the default name, version number, description, entry point, and we will make it as a index.js as an entry point. Any command, git repository, keywords, author, license, and it will ask is it information correct. We will put here yes. So now we have to install the packages, and first of all we have to install our Express server to make REST API workable, and for that we have to first go to our API folder path. Now here we will run this command and we have to move all this in our API folder inside that, and from here we will run our second command, and that will be for our QR code. And after that we have to run our another command, that will be our canvas, and we will go to our package.json file, and there we have to add one line, and here we have to put a type, and we have to pass here module because we are going to use the TypeScript and all in our code. So now we have to go to our API folder, and there we have to create some of the folders. First one will be our services, then we have our controller folder, controllers, then we have our routes folder, and here we have to create our index.js file also. So first of all we have to go to our services folder, and there we have to write our service for the QR code generation and all, and we have to create a file here, qr-code.services.js file. So here first of all we have to import here create canvas from canvas, then we have to import here QR code from QR code. So both the libraries we have installed. Then we have to create one function here, and we will put here async function, and name of the function we will write a create QR, and here we have to pass two variables here. First one will be data for QR code, then we have our QR code, then we have is buffer. So this first parameter is for showing the text, whatever the text we want to show in that QR code image and all. Then we have this QR code data. That data will be for like the hyperlink or any other information we have to store in our QR code that we have to pass. Then we have this buffer, and that is like if we want to return the image or the URL from our response. For that purpose we will use here. So here we have to create the object here. Constant canvas is equal to create canvas, and we have to pass our width and height. We are making for 500 into 500. Then here we have to write QR code dot to canvas, and we have to pass the variables this canvas. So canvas is like we are generating the image of the white background of width and height 500 into 500. Then we have our data for QR code. Then we have to pass some settings here, like we have to pass here error correction level H. Then we have our margin here. We are passing the margin here 4. Then we have a width. We will pass here 500. Height also 500. Then we have the color here. We will put the dark color as our black. Then we have our light color, that will be white color. So now here we have to create one variable. ctx is equal to canvas dot get context, and we have to use it 2D. So now here we have to put the fill color, whatever the color we want to give for our QR code. If we want to change the color from default black to any other, that also we can do. But here we are putting the fill style as a black. Then we have our font, and we are using a ctx.font 20 pixel Arial. Then we have to fill the text here. So this will be used for showing the text, whatever the text we want to show inside that image of that QR code in the bottom. For that purpose we are using this one. And from here we will write ctx.fill text, and we have to pass whatever that data we are passing there, this QR code. Or you can see here label text. We will copy this one and we will change here. So it will be like more readable, like whatever the parameters we are passing here. Then we have to pass here that axis and all, 485 y-axis, and the width we are using here 500. And from here we will return is buffer. Then we will pass here canvas dot to buffer. Else we will pass here canvas dot to data URL. And from here we will export default create QR. So what we did here, we have created one function name as a create QR, and there we have the 3 parameters. First one is the data, whatever the data we have our for the QR code when we scan it. And then we have the label text and whatever the data we want to show in that image at the bottom of the QR code. Then we have our variable for is buffer, and that will be used if it is buffer. Then we have to just return the image from that response of the API, else we can return the data URL from our response. Then from here we are just creating the object for the create canvas with the width and height of 500. Then we are calling here QR code dot to canvas, and we are passing here this canvas. This will create that white background of 500 into 500. Inside that we are going to create our QR code, and that data we are passing here. Then we have our some setting here. We are putting error correction level H. Then we have the margin 4, width and height 500. Then we have the colors here, and here we can change the color of that QR code, and instead of black we can change it to any other color also. And for the light color it will have the white color here. Then we are just creating here that 2D for showing that text for our bottom of the QR code, and we are passing the fill style as a black color. And ctx.font we are using here 20 pixel of Arial font. Then we are just calling here dot fill text, and we are just passing here label text, whatever the label text we are passing here. And after that we have our x-axis and the y-axis as a 220 and 485, and the width we are using here 500. And after that we are just checking here if that is buffer is true, then we are just returning the buffer of that, you can say the base 64 and all of our canvas, and else we are just returning here to data URL, and then we are just exporting this QR code. So now we will move further and we will create a controller file. So here we have to create a new file, that is QR code.controller.js file, and here we have to import our QR code services from /services folder /QR service .js file, and here we will write constant create QR is equal to async request response next. Then from here we will write constant QR code is equal to await QR code service dot create QR, and we have to pass here variables, and here we have request dot body dot QR data, then we have request dot body dot display data, then we have our true, because from here we have to return the image file and all. And from here we will just change the content type of our response as a image file, because from here we make it buffer true and we are returning the whole image base 64 and all. And from here we will set the content type as our image/png. Then from here we will return response.status 200.send, and we will send this QR code. So what we did here, we have just created one function, that is create QR, and from there we are just have the three things: request, response, and the next, that will be our middlewares. And here we have our variable QR code is equal to, we are calling here QR code services dot create QR, and we are passing the request dot body dot QR data. Then we have our request dot body dot display data, and here we have our buffer true, and then we are just setting the content type as a image PNG. After that, from here we will just return here status 200, and we are just sending the QR code from this request. And from here we will export default create QR. So now let's move further and we will create the routing here. Here we have the route folder, and we will create the file here app.routes.js, and from here we will import QR code controller from .controller/QR code controller.js, and here we will import our express server also is equal to express from express. Then we have our constant router is equal to express dot router, and from here we will write our router dot post request, and we have to make this create QR as a post request here because we are posting some data also, and we will put here /create -QR code, and from here we will call QR code controller. Here we will change it to QR code controller dot create QR, and from here we will just export default router. So what we did here, we have just import our QR controller file, then we have import the express server, and we have created the variable of router is equal to express dot router, and we are making the post request here with the name as a create -QR code, and we are just calling there QR code controller dot create QR, and from here we are just exporting router. So now let's move further to our index.js file, and from here we will import express import a router from ./routes/app_routes.js file. Then we have constant app is equal to express. Then we have app.use, and we have to call here express.json. Then we have app.use. We have to call the routing here /API, and the endpoint of the API will be API. Then we have our API URL router. Then from here we will just start the server here. Listen 4500 function, and this is 4500 will be our port number. Here we have function, and we will just write here console.log ready to go. So now let's run the server and see is it working or not. We will put here node.js. So if we get here ready to go, that means the server is ready. So we got here ready to go, that means the server is working fine. So now let's do the test with our postman and all, and let's see the API is working or not. And before that we have to save here. So we use the node1 here, because if we use the node1 service, then we don't need to worry about anything like we have to if we change anything in our code, then we don't have to restart our server again and again. It will be work like a hot reload and all. So now let's open the API. Here we will put that localhost 4500/API create QR, and here we will change it to post request. In the body we will pass two things. If we go to our code, and we will see here we have QR data, then we have our display data, and here we will put snippetcoder as a display data, and that QR data will be our http www.youtube.com/snippetcoder. So now we will click on the send. You can see here QR code is generated here. Now you can see here in the bottom we are getting here snippetcoder as a display data. So here the QR code is generated. So now let's move further and do the integration of this API in our Flutter application, and let's see. So now we will create our Flutter application. For that we have to go to the app folder, and there we will write Flutter create dot. It will create the Flutter application inside the folder. So here we required only one package, and that will be our HTTP package. I will put here. So now we will go to our left folder, and there we have to create one file, and we will name it as a QR code underscore page.dart file, and here we will make it stateful widget QR code page. Here we required the HTTP package http/http.dart as HTTP. So here we require three things. First one will be our text editing controller, one text box, final text editing controller, display data controller is equal to text editing controller. Then we have final text editing controller underscore QR data controller is equal to text editing controller. Then we have our image data, and that we have to make a variable of int8 list nullable underscore image bytes, and here we have to create one function of future void generate QR code. We will make it as async here, and here we have to call our API service. Here we have where response is equal to await http.post, because we are doing the post request here, and here we are calling here URI.parse, and here we have to put the complete URL. That will be http colon localhost colon 4500 / API / create QR code, and here we have to pass the headers, and we are using here content type application / JSON. Then we have our body here, and here in the body we have to create that JSON encode, and we have to create the object here, display data, and we will map it with our display data controller dot text. Then we have our QR data. Here we have QR data controller dot text, and from here we will check if response dot status code is equal to 200. That means the data is generated, and we will just set our image byte is equal to response dot body byte. In the else condition, we will just print here fail to generate QR code. So what we did here, we have created that function name as a generate QR code. There we are just doing the HTTP post request by passing our API URL. Then content type as application JSON. In the body we are passing two variables. First one will be our display data, and the second one will be our QR data. Then in the response we are checking if the status code is 200. That means we got the data from the server. Then we are just setting our image byte is equal to response.body data. So here we will create our scaffold widget. Here we have app bar, title, text widget, QR code generator. Then we have our body here. We have the column widget. Then we have our children's, and first children will be our text field. Controller, we will map it with our display data controller. Decoration, we will put our input decoration. Label text, display data, and we will map it with our padding and all. Same way we have to copy this one, and we will paste here, and we will map it with our QR data controller. Here we have QR data URL. Then we have our button here, elevated button. On press, we will just call here generate QR code. In the child, we will show here text widget, generate QR code, and after that we will show our image of QR code. And for doing that, we have to just check here if image byte is not equal to null. Then we will show here with expand widget, expanded widget, child, center widget we are using it, child image dot memory, and we will map with our image byte. Here we have to remove this curly brackets, and we will save it. So now let's run the application and see is it working or not. So this is our application. So now we have to go to the main.dart file, and there we have to link this page what we have created, and we will remove this code. Here we will map it with our QR code page, and we will save here. So now you can see here we are getting a display data QR data URL, and that generate QR code button. Here we will put snippet coder demo. Here we will put http www.youtube.com/snippetcoder, and we will click on the generate QR code. So now you can see here that QR code is coming here and the label is also coming here. This margin and all, you can change it from your API and all by going to the API service. Here we have our margin and all, and from here you can change. Like if you put it 200, we will save here. Then we will click generate again. You can see here it is coming to the left now, and now we can change it to like 180, save it, then generate again. You can see here it is coming to the center. So in this way you can change this data positioning and all. So I hope you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe channel, like, comment, share. I will come back soon with another awesome video. Thank you for watching the video.